If you are serious about historical survival knowledge, subscribe to the Global War Archive now, because this channel exists for people who want real answers, not recycled myths. Today's topic is one most modern builders quietly avoid, and it deserves your attention. How did medieval log cabins, frontier longhouses, and early alpine dwellings remain livable at -40 degrees Fahrenheit, while many modern homes struggle to stay warm even with electricity, insulation foam, and central heating? This is not nostalgia, and it is not romanticism. This is applied physics, material science, and human experience, refined through generations that could not afford failure. Medieval builders did not have backup generators, space heaters, or second chances. If their homes lost heat, people died. That pressure created building methods so effective that we are still trying to rediscover them today. Stay with me, because by the end of this guide, you will understand exactly where modern construction went wrong and how medieval logic still outperforms it. The first reason medieval log cabins stayed warm was the thermal mass of solid wood walls. A medieval log cabin was not a framed structure wrapped in thin siding, it was the wall. Massive logs, often 12 to 16 inches thick, created enormous thermal mass. Thermal mass works by absorbing heat slowly and releasing it slowly. When a fire burned for several hours, the logs soaked up that heat deep into the wood fibers. Even after the fire died down overnight, the walls continued radiating stored warmth back into the living space. Modern homes rely on lightweight materials that heat up quickly and lose heat just as fast. Drywall and fiberglass insulation trap air, but they do not store heat. In extreme cold, once the heat source cycles off, temperature drops rapidly. Medieval builders unknowingly designed homes that function like heat batteries. You can apply this today by incorporating dense interior materials such as stone walls, brick hearths, or thick timber features near heat sources. Even a modern wood stove surrounded by masonry dramatically stabilizes indoor temperatures. The second reason was airtight construction achieved without plastic or foam. Contrary to popular belief, medieval log cabins were not drafty. Logs were carefully fitted using saddle notches, dovetail joints, and compression techniques that tightened as the wood settled. Gaps were filled with moss, clay, animal hair, or lime-based chinking that expanded and contracted naturally with humidity. The result was an envelope that breathed slowly but did not leak heat aggressively. Modern homes often suffer from uncontrolled air leakage at seams, electrical boxes, attic penetrations, and poorly sealed framing cavities. Builders rely on membranes and tapes that degrade over time. The medieval lesson is, well, precision over products. Fewer joints, thicker materials, and compression-based sealing tend to outperform, complex layered systems. In practical terms, reducing unnecessary wall cavities and sealing structural joints directly is often more effective than just adding more insulation. The third reason, medieval cabins used heat sources designed for the structure, not added later. Fireplaces and stoves were not accessories. They were, in fact, structural elements placed at the thermal core of the building. Central hearths radiated heat evenly in all directions, and chimneys were built thick to retain warmth long after fires burned down. Smoke channels often ran through stone or clay walls before exiting, transferring heat into the structure itself. Modern homes, by contrast, isolate heat sources in metal boxes designed to vent heat outside as efficiently as possible for safety and code compliance. Historically informed heating design means really integrating heat storage into the building itself. A masonry heater, even in a modern home, can reduce fuel consumption while maintaining steady warmth in extreme cold. The fourth reason was, intentional ceiling height and room volume control. Medieval cabins were, quite low. Ceilings were often just high enough so that you could stand comfortably. Smaller volumes actually require less energy to heat and warm air. Well, it had nowhere to escape upward. Sleeping platforms were elevated because naturally heat pooled higher in the room. Modern homes, on the other hand, tend to favor high ceilings and open plans, which, especially in cold climates, really just waste heat vertically. Applying this knowledge doesn't mean you have to abandon comfort, not at all. Lowering ceilings in sleeping areas, using lofted heat zones, or even just designing smaller heated spaces within a home can, dramatically increase efficiency in cold environments. The fifth reason is that medieval builders, while they understood wind better than most modern architects, cabins were oriented quite deliberately. Entrances faced away from the prevailing winds. Earth berms, forests, and terrain features were all used as natural windbreaks. Wind strips heat faster than temperature alone, a fact medieval builders learned, sometimes the hard way, through bitter experience. Modern developments, though, often ignore microclimate entirely, placing homes for aesthetics rather than, survival logic. So, a really practical step you can take today is evaluating wind exposure before building or retrofitting. Things like strategic fencing, tree placement, and even the orientation of your entryways can help reduce heat loss, without consuming any extra energy at all. The sixth reason was continuous occupancy and heat cycling discipline. Medieval homes were rarely allowed to go cold. Fires were managed continuously, even at low output, to prevent thermal reset of the structure. Letting a home drop to freezing wastes more energy than maintaining moderate heat. Modern thermostats, encourage large temperature swings that work against thermal mass principles. Survivalists and off-grid builders can actually adopt this by maintaining consistent baseline heating and avoiding deep temperature setbacks in extreme cold. What this really teaches us is about resilience, not comfort. Medieval cabins stayed warm because, they were designed for survival first. Modern homes, on the other hand, are designed for speed, cost efficiency, and regulatory convenience. The difference is not intelligence or technology, it is priorities. When failure just means discomfort, shortcuts are acceptable. But when failure means death, systems evolve rapidly and, honestly, far more effectively. If you want more deep historical analysis like this, grounded in reality and usable today, subscribe to the Global War Archive, share this with fellow historians and survivalists, and help keep these lessons alive. History is not behind us, it is in fact waiting to be relearned.